Welcome in. I am Coach Nye. Today's class is about releasing fear. So, this lesson is going to help you understand that fear is often misunderstood. Fear is not always a warning about the future, it is often a response shaped by past experiences, memories, and unresolved emotions. Healing begins when you learn to recognize fear without letting it control your decision. That's what that is. So let's get into it. So let's let go to grow. I want you to that to be the focal point of your today. Let go to grow. Now, the R pi step for this is the R for release. The R for release, focusing on releasing fear, shame, old narratives, emotional baggage, soul ties, and limited beliefs. This is where mental detoxing truly begins. So, R pi is to acknowledge, release, practice, inner explore, and empower. Today, we will release. So, how fear becomes a mental prison. Let's talk about that. Fear becomes limiting when it is not questioned. It becomes limiting when it is not questioned. It can show up as overthinking every decision, right? Avoiding opportunities or avoiding change, staying in comfort zones that no longer serve you, and doubting your ability before you even try. Self sabotaging. When fear goes unchallenged, it creates invisible boundaries that keep you stuck in the same emotional and mental space. Let's look at fear versus intention. It is important to learn the difference between the two. Now let's look at fear. Fear is loud, it's anxious, it's repetitive, and often rooted in this past pain. It creates urgency and panic. Now, intuition is calm, steady, clear, and grounded. It does not force, it guides. So, fear tries to protect you from discomfort. Intuition guides you towards alignment and growth. Learning this difference helps you stop confusing emotional distress with spiritual direction. Let's look at number three, trauma driven versus purpose driven decision making. Your decisions are often shaped by one of two places. Either it's trauma driven or it's purpose driven. Trauma driven decision is based on avoidance, fear of failure, rejection, or pain. These decisions focus on safety over growth. Purpose driven decisions are based on alignment, values, and long term visions. These decisions focus on growth even when it feels uncomfortable. So, healing is learning to pause and ask, am I choosing from fear or from purpose? Now, let's look at fear based inner narratives. It's that self talk. Fear often speaks through internal stories such as, what if I fail? I'm not ready. It's safer to stay where I am, or people will judge me. Those type of narratives, they feel real, right? And it guides your decisions. But they're rooted from your childhood trauma. That's where they're rooted from, past experiences, not the present truth. So rewrite the narratives is part of reclaiming your power. So if you say, what if I fail? But what if you don't? Well, last time I wasn't ready and this is what happened. But who said this is going to happen again? It's safer to stay where I am. Until when? Who said it was safe? Why do you feel it's safe? People will judge me. People judge you now. People always judge you, right? That's what you have to tell yourself. So let's look at fear is often a memory, not a prophecy. What you are afraid of isn't something you have experienced. It, excuse me, what you are afraid of is something that you experienced before, not something that is guaranteed to happen again. I used the example of you got struck by lightning once. Now you're afraid of thunder. But what's the chances of it happening again? It's not guaranteed to happen again. My grandma, I found out a story about my grandma that there was a whole nother life she had before my granddad. She had a daughter. She was married. Everyone lived in the same area, her grandma, her aunts, but a storm came, a tornado came, took everybody, killed, in the storm. And she was just left. Her husband was gone, her child was gone there, everybody was thrown in the river. And from that point, she was afraid of thunder. My grandma lived her life fear of thunder. She trembled like she was a nervous wreck. She was very protective over her grandkids, everything, but I never knew the story. And now I know. It happened to her once, but she didn't understand it wasn't a prophecy. It wasn't guaranteed to happen to her again. But that was post traumatic. That was traumatic disorder that she had that went undiagnosed. Okay, what's another one? You can feel fear and move forward anyway. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the action in the presence of fear. I'm going to do it anyway. That's what courage is. I still fear it, but I'm going to do it anyway. So I have a mental, spiritual, and a physical exercise that you guys can do. So the mental is fear thought audit, how you can challenge the fear. Identify a fear. I want you to write the worst case scenario and then write the best case scenario. And then identify the most realistic scenario. That way, it kind of breaks up and interrupts that catastrophic thinking because it gives you another way to see it. Let's look at a physical exercise. So, to deactivate the sympathetic nervous system, you take long exhale breathing. Inhale for 4, exhale for 8. In your nose, out your mouth, do it 6 times. Now, your spiritual exercise is place your hand over your heart and say, I am safe. My future is safe. My growth is safe. And the reason why I want you to do that, because the moment that you feel fear, I need you to get in the second, get in the present time, and I need you to pay attention to your surroundings. I am safe. Is there any danger around you in that moment right now? No, I am safe. If you leave this spot right now, you know, are you going to be okay? My future is safe. Okay. And as you grow and continue to work and become confident in whatever it is that you're doing, will you be safe? Yes, my growth is safe. I am safe. My future is safe. My growth is safe. Your declaration, I want you to repeat: I release fear. I choose courage. And your journaling prompts, what you can journal tonight is: what fear has controlled me for years? What is this fear protecting me from? And what would my life look like without this fear? And I want you to do one small action today that fear normally stops you from doing. Now, everything you can't self heal on. Sometimes you need a therapist. Get you a therapist if you need one, okay? And these are questions you can ask yourself, or you can sit with a friend and ask a friend. You guys can talk about it. Is what fear are you ready to release? And how does fear show up in your body? Listen, I had a great time teaching this course. This course was Releasing Fear. You guys can check it out in my playlist under my lives. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead, subscribe. This is one of the courses that I teach, and I also teach on TikTok. Every weekday morning, I teach, well, not morning, but every weekday, I teach a leadership course over on TikTok. My TikTok is Chat with Coach Nye, so go follow me there and subscribe here. And ladies, if you want to be a part of an environment, or you know a friend, a sister, mother that wants to be a part of a sisterhood environment that's looking to heal, they can join the Lead Her Movement Network, leadhermovement.mn.co. You guys have an amazing day and check out the live and the replay. Coach Nye out.